This is the second point in our Twinmotion series. So in this part, I'm going to show you guys how I apply the materials into our imported, not Revit, but FBX file. So you can see that when we imported our FBX file in, everything is kind of yellow and orange, right? Because these are the default materials in Twinmotion. They haven't been applied the materials yet, but make sure that in your Revit or SketchUp or everything, you assign each materials differently. So when you change the materials in Twinmotion, it's not the same. And so let's start applying one of the materials. I'm gonna start with this wall right here. So in our design, you can see that is kind of like a board and batten kind of wall like this. So it's very black, or you can keep it black or gray or something like that. So it's kind of like a metal panel kind of thing. So I'm gonna go to material right here, and when you downloaded Twinmotion 2025, all the materials are not gonna be there, so you're gonna have to manually download them one by one. So I only downloaded all the materials that I use most of the time, and the other materials I don't download them because I barely use them. Or if you already have your Twinmotion 2024 downloaded, you can copy that materials asset file to your Twinmotion 2025 file. But if you don't have the Twinmotion 2024, you can just download it one by one. It's gonna take a little bit of time at first, but by the time you render 3 or 4 different projects, all the materials or like the objects that you need are already there for you. So let's get straight into it. So in order to apply the materials, you go to that material panel and you drag that materials onto the object that you want to assign the materials to. So I want to assign the metal to this one right here. So I'm going to drag that aluminum to the wall. So you can see that it changed the whole thing, right? So on this side, it changed that wall too. And now I'm going to change the color. So on the right hand side, you can change the color. You can scroll up and down, and there's like this color right here. You can click this white box and you can drag it to change the color, or you can even change like different colors here. But I'm gonna keep this one fairly gray or black or something like that. Let's keep it something like this. And you can see the grunge. So grunge is like there's like a weathering effects on it. I don't want that to be our case, but if you have like a sidewalk or something like that, this grunge is gonna be very useful. But for our wall, I don't think I'm gonna need that. So luminosity is how bright your materials is. So the more you go, the brighter it is. I'm gonna reduce this thing a little bit. Let's get 30%, something like that. So you can see that it's already black enough. So roughness right here is how shiny our material is. So the less you go, like the more shiny it is, and the more you go, the less shiny it is. There's barely any shine on this one, so I'm gonna keep it something like 67%. And I forgot to say, this is detail one as well, so you don't need to, for beginners, you don't need to like change this thing much. I barely change this one a lot, but you can play around to find out. So it just basically changed the brightness and how shiny the material is. And there's detail here as well. This texture, you don't have to do this one a lot, to be honest. This is clear coat. The name is pretty much self-explanatory. You click it and there's like a coat that covers it. I don't want that to be the case. And metallic, our material is pretty metallic, so we keep it at 100%. And normal, so normal is the bump. So this map of the materials doesn't really have a lot of bump out, but let's say like different materials has that bump out, we can use that, but this one doesn't really have that bump out, so we don't have to worry about this thing that much. And this is ambient, you don't have to worry about it, but this emissive thing is important. So if you put this emissive thing on, it's gonna glow in the dark. So let's say you want to change the material of this light bulb right here. So when you get to the light bulb, you might need to change the emissive intensity of that light bulb so it glows in your renders kind of like this. You can see that this one right here is very blurry because we're in a PDF, but it's there. And that's pretty much it. And you got to your UV tab. So this materials, the UV tab doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna pass this UV tab on this materials, but when we get to another materials, I'm gonna talk about this UV tab more. So right now I'm kind of happy with my materials for this wall right here. So yeah, I'm gonna change to the next materials. So the next materials I'm gonna change this to be this this groove right here. So I'm gonna drag that brush aluminum in again. So it's because in my Revit file I set it to be a different material so it doesn't interfere with this one. So when I change this material of the groove, it doesn't change the materials of the panel itself. So I'll do the same thing. I will change the color to be darker. I'll change the intensity or like luminosity and the roughness, something like that. Let's keep it like this. And when you change it, and if you're not happy about it, when you can see like when you apply like render effects into your materials, it's gonna change how it looks, so you can always change it back later. I hope I make sense there. But now we're gonna move to another materials that I can talk about, the UV thing right here. So that materials, I'm gonna change it to the wood board right here. So let's move closer so we can see it better. So this is our wood deck. So I'm gonna go to material right here, and I'm gonna go to wood. And because I downloaded all the wood materials, because I use wood materials a lot, it's already there for me. So you can do again the same thing. So you can drag the materials in, and once again you can see that the grain of wood is very small, because like the default Twinmotion preset, the materials is very small somehow. That's the one downside of material thing in Twinmotion, that you have to like change the scale of the materials. So pretty much the same steps again. So the first thing you're gonna do is, let's say if you want to change the color of the materials, you know, I'm happy with the wood materials, so I'm gonna keep it as it is, but I'm gonna change the luminosity of it. I don't want it to be too bright, and let's keep it something like this. And I don't want it to be too shiny, so I'm gonna drag this one up a little bit. And that is pretty much it. I don't want to complicate it too much. And now let's talk about the UV tab right here. So in the UV tab, there are two most important things that I use the most. It's this rotation and the scale. So rotation is, you know, you can click 90 degree and it rotates 90 degree for you guys. Or you can even drag this bar right here, so it's gonna, you know, change the rotation. You can clearly see in the wood grain right there. So I don't want it to change so much, so I'm gonna keep it 0 degree. And the scale is pretty self-explanatory as well. You can scale it up or down or something like that, or you can even drag this bar. So you can drag this bar and it, you know, it got to 10, but if you type like 20, it will even got bigger. So if you drag it to 10, like, don't worry, because like you can always extend it, you know. But I'm just gonna keep it at 8, so it looks moderate enough. And that is pretty much it. So you can change, you know, all the rest of the materials in the house. So there's this concrete right here, there's wood, or you can even change to all the materials that you need. And there's one thing that I need to say is, let's say you want to apply this this metal wall right here to the roof. So you can copy the materials to the roof itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this pen tool right here, or this drop or material picker. It says material picker, so very similar to Adobe Photoshop. You click that and you click the materials. So I'm going to click this wall material right here, and it get me to that materials. So I'm going to fly up and I'm going to look to this roof, and I'm going to drag it into the roof itself. So now you can see this is the same. So let's say if I change this materials right here, let's go to main, and I can drag it, this tab to the right so I can see our model. Let's say if I change this material, it's gonna automatically change the material of the roof as well. Even though in my Revit file, I set this material to be different than this one. But if you assign it the same materials here, it's gonna automatically sync. But if you want it to be two different materials, so let's exaggerate this, you're gonna have to drag it just like every other step. So I just drag the wood in, but that's not what I want. So let's say if you have like a wood siding house and in asphalt shingles roof, you can do this step. But I'm gonna keep it similar to our wall. So I'm gonna pick this roof as well, and I'm gonna change it to the roof ridges. And there we have it. We have our walls and roof. And the next step I'm gonna get to is our wood right here. So our wood columns and beams. So you can see in our image that the columns are wooden, the stairs is also wooden, but the beams are white. You can see that. That's just a design features. If you want it to be, that same wood color, you can put it the same as well. But in order to show you guys, there's different functions in the materials picker in Twinmotion. This is I made them differently, so you can learn more about that. So the same thing, you can find the wood materials that you want in Twinmotion, and I usually use this oak 3G or oak 4G for wooden posts and beams. So let's use it oak 4G. So let's drag it in. So same time in Revit, I set this whole wood post and beam to be the same materials, right? And it's gonna replace the whole thing. So at first, let's change the material itself first. I'm kind of happy with this color. Let's change the luminosity, and let's change the roughness so it's not too shiny. I'm gonna go to the UV, and I'm gonna change the rotation to about 90 because I don't want the grain to go horizontal. I want it to go a little bit vertical. And the scale, let's change it to 10. And I'm gonna hit enter, and let's move to the back a little bit to see it better. Yeah, sure, I'm kind of happy with that. But now let's change this beam materials. So there are two ways you can do this. You can either go to that Revit file and you can update that materials, and you can update the FBX file, and then you import it into Revit or like Twinmotion again. Or you can change the materials itself within Twinmotion. So let's do both ways so you guys knows both way, and you can pick whichever ways you prefer to do. So at first I'm going to change the materials itself in Twinmotion. So you see these two circles right here, right? So when these two circles show up, it's going to replace every single material. So let's say you set the whole wood post and beam system in Revit to be one material, like how I did here. So this is a Revit family, and the materials is softwood lumber. You can see there, and you can see here, softwood lumber. So when I replace that softwood lumber in Twinmotion, it replaces the whole thing. But if I change it, I click this little white thing here, and I change it apply to object. And now if I drag the materials in, so let's say this one, you can see that it changed because the color is not very good. Let's change it to this wedge here. You can see that it changed. See, it's not replacing the whole thing. But if you in this replace materials and you drag in, the whole thing is going to be changed. So that's an important thing to note. So I'm going to change this wood beam into white. So let's change it into apply to object, and let's go to, let's find Lego, let's not olive 2G, yeah, whatever. And I'm gonna do the same thing, and let's scale it to 10. And let's change the color to white. So I'm gonna drag it here, drag it all the way up, and I'm gonna hit OK. And I'm gonna apply this materials to every single beam, so you can find that materials here on the right hand side and drag it one by one, and you can see that it automatically updates some of the objects for us as well. And then we have our white beams. And the next materials that I'm gonna go over is the glass. So the glass is also an important materials that needs to be covered in Twinmotion. But the more you play around with it, you find out on your own. At first, let's change this into replace material first. So it's replacing the whole glass, not just one single one. I'm going to materials and I'm going to glass. And I'm using this clear glass a lot. And you can see the glass is a little bit different than the regular materials. There's like this opacity right here. So I use this opacity tab a lot, but the main thing I change is the intensity. So the more you go, the more like, reflective it is, and the less you go, it's like not reflective at all. So I keep it around 10 to 12 and a half. So you can, if you render from the outside, you can still kind of see the stuff inside the house, but not too much. But if you keep it like 30, it's gonna be super reflective and you can barely see anything. It's like a glass panel, not glass panel, but like a mirror kind of thing. So I keep it at 10. And there's also this fractional opacity. You can play around with it to find out about it, but I don't use it a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the materials. However, there's also, wait, hold on. Yeah, fuck. So that's pretty much it about the materials. You can apply the rest of the materials to the house yourself. I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna fast forward it. Yeah, and there is one thing that I need you guys to know before I'm forwarding to the materials. So there's this facial board right here. I purposely missed this, not placing this facial board, so you can practice updating the FBX file. So all you have to do is go to the FBX, not the FBX, but go to the Twinmotion file, and you can see that facial board is missing. So you can add that facial board here. So I'm clicking that, I'm typing CS on my keyboard, create similar, and I'm clicking here. And I'm hitting escape 2 times. So not only for the facial board, let's say you miss a car, not a car, you can add cars in Twinmotion, but let's say if you got a wall that you're missing a wall or something like that, you can update the 3D model and you can go file, export, FBX again, and you click the file to change the name and you hit save, so it replaces that file. Like, it's not like you creating a new file. And you go to our Twinmotion, and under that import you can see this, if you hover your mouse over that FBX file, you can see this like replace, not replace, but replay, or like re-update or whatever. You click that and you can see that our facial board is there. So that's the second way you can replace the materials in Twinmotion as well. So let's say the first way is, replace materials, replace object or whatever. The second place is you go to Revit, you update the materials of this one, and you update the FBX model, and you import it into Twinmotion again, and then it should be different, and you can apply like a different materials to it. So yeah, I hope it makes sense. You can just play around to find out. So right now I'm gonna apply the rest of the materials to the house. Okay, and that is it. I think that is all the materials that I have replaced for the house. And you guys can see I did the materials for the living room, the kitchen, that little office space that we have, even a little bit of the bathroom as well, and the bedroom. So the flooring for the bedroom is our carpet instead of like wood or tile floor. So yeah, with all the tools we have, especially the replace materials and apply to object one, that's the two main thing that you guys need to know about. And that's pretty much it for this episode. Let me know if you guys have any question. I'll personally respond to all of them. And good luck.